On the performance tracker, what number is a better gauge of performance? The QBank average or the exam average? Well, it depends where you're at in your study execution of your study plan, Volksville. I would think at the beginning your QBank average would be more important. What I mean by that is Brian and I, in terms of building a study plan, recommend that what you do, let's just take it from ground zero. So you get your SIE book, your 7 book, whatever. We think step number 1 should be read the book. Once you've read the book cover to cover, as close to one setting as possible without highlighting, without taking notes, because how are you going to take notes and highlight? You don't even know what's important yet. You're just trying to get the lay of the land, as I said. You're doing recon. So once you get that done, then you go to Unit 1. You can watch a video to put a dent in the reading or do the reading and then use a video to consolidate. And then we want you to do 20, 30 question practice quiz. And we want you to get a 75% before you move on to Unit 2. So that would be where that percentage is important. Now we get to Unit 2. Again, we would want you to do Unit 2, watch a video, do the reading, watch a video, your choice. Do 25, 30 practice questions, get a 75%. Do not move on. You do not move on. Now you do a combined quiz of Unit 1 and 2. 75%, move on. Unit 3, video read video, 25 questions, 75, you do not move on. Combined quiz, Unit 1, 2, 3. So now once you get through all your units, I just had somebody today, they're finishing up their unit, their last practice quiz, the last combined quiz. Now we do the practice exam. About 7-10 days out now, we start doing intellectual inventories with those practice exams. I think more than one a day. You shouldn't be doing more than one practice test a day. I talked to somebody today, they're testing Monday. I said, okay, so how many practice test scores are we going to get? We're not trying to mindlessly do practice tests. No. We're doing practice tests to identify where we need to do remediation. That's now the answer to your question. That's when those scores become important, because now we use the performance tracker to say, okay, where do we need to go back and remediate? We're also trying to get an intellectual inventory to get a mark to know where we are in terms of margin of safety, right? I would like you in those practice tests to be in the mid-70s by test time. So this guy today, he was in the mid-60s. I said, hey, mid-60s, a lot of people pass with mid-60s. But for a margin of safety purpose, I'd like you to be in the mid-70s. I did a class with 20 people, and we go Monday through Thursday. They do a practice test Friday. They test Monday. I was talking with a corporate trainer, and I said, listen, in this 20-person cohort, 12 of them scored over 70. I think all of them are going to pass Monday. Now, 8 of them didn't score over 70. 6 of them scored between 60 and 70, and there's no reason they shouldn't all pass, but we're going to lose half of them. And she goes, well, which half? We'll save them. I go, well, we don't know. It's just statistics. I said, it's unfortunate because there's no reason for that. If they didn't get wobbly over the weekend, if they stayed dedicated, they stayed disciplined, they stayed organized, and they kept working, they would cross the finish line. And I was so proud of them. They all passed. All 6 of them passed. We had 2 people that got below 60. Now, that's really hard because that means they don't know what they're being asked. They don't know what answers are being offered to them. They have a knowledge deficit, lack of a knowledge base. And I said, it's going to be very difficult for them because they got to do 2 things over the weekend. They got to lay more base, and they still got to, kind of take practice questions. They almost passed. I thought it was a brilliant effort, by the way. They almost passed. Those are exasperating scores, but then they retested and they passed. So we went 18 for 20, and then eventually we went 20 for 20. And so in the beginning, to answer your question, Volksville, in the beginning, I would be more interested in the QBank average. Towards the end, 7-10 days out, I'm going to be more interested in that exam average.